Hello student, today we are going to study NCERT Class 10 Chapter 1 Development. This is the fourth segment of this chapter and this is the last segment. In the previous three segments what we have learned about what is economics, what is development, why do we need development, on the basis of which or the particular person or the particular individual having the different goal, the what kind of development they want to do on the individual basis, on the societal basis, on the economic basis, or the other people basis. On the basis of that, we come to know that what the other things is going to be happen and what the other thing is not going to be happen. These are the certain things which we have discussed in that chapter that some person wants to do the job on the daily basis. But why they want to do the job on the daily basis? Because the person who is travel from the rural area to the urban area, when he used to travel the long distance and he used to agree to do the job at the very low wages, why is to agree to do the job at the very low basis? Because he find a security over there because we don't know whenever the difficult times used to come over us. So when there is the difficulty times, so that particular job is going to help you at that time. Like if you work on the daily basis year by year, so there one day it will come, they can increase your wages and they will going to promote you, so by which on in the long run you will going to earn the more money and you are at that rank which you want to be. So the people used to agree to do the work at the lower price. Then further we talk about the national development. In the national development, we talk about that we have to develop each and every sector of our society, or you can say each and every sector of the people. Like if we talk about the society, if we talk about the education, if we talk about the agriculture, if we talk about the industry. So how we differentiate the national development? If we differentiate the national development, like we do not have to, we can say we do not have to develop just only the particular. If we can talk about the big cities, we have to develop each and every place, just like we talk about the village. It starts from the village, then the town, then the city, then the state, then the nation. So each and every sector, each and every individual, according to the perception, we have to develop them. Because if we talk about the particular individual, what we have to provide them: a good environment, a security, a kind of the feeling they have, like the environment is the pollution free. They have the security. They do not have to bear the certain kind of burden that like. If like think of it, if they find that the environment is not clean and we are not secure over there, so they might have, they can change the places because they have their own perception, so they can change it up. So like what the government duty is that they have to provide a clean environment, or you can say the clean surrounding, and they provide them this security by which they do not have to shift from one place to the other. So this is the one kind of the development. If we go further, then we talk about the, can we differentiate the development on the basis of the country and the state, and what are the criteria of that? So yes, if we talk about the US and the India, so we have the difference in the per capita income. So because earlier what they thought that on the basis of per capita income, can we differentiate what the development is and what is not a development? So if we talk about this, yes, on the basis of per capita income, we can differentiate, but it should be a long list that we couldn't go further, which we have already read, but we are going to discuss right now as well. Like US used to earn the more money rather than the Indians, because Indian used to earn the middle income, so they used to come under the developing countries, and the US used to come under the developed countries. Then we go further when we talk about the three states, that is the Haryana, Kerala, and Bihar, where the if we differentiate on the basis of the state, so Haryana is having the highest per capita income rather than the Bihar. So we can say that the Haryana is the more developed state. If we differentiate on the basis of the particular nation, and from on the, and we are going to differentiate on the basis of the state, so we can say that Haryana is more developed rather than the Bihar. Then we further discuss about the infant mortality rate, literacy rate, net attendance, and the life expectancy rate, in which we come to know about that, like the different state. If we talk about the three states, Haryana, Kerala, and Bihar, so each and every state has the different criteria. Someone having the high infant mortality rate, someone having the low literacy rate, someone is having the high net attendance rate. Where if we talk about the Bihar, where the people, like where the children not going to the school after the class 8. Up to till class 8, they used to take the education. After that, they are not taking the education. So these are the certain things which we come to know that with a particular child is going to do whether he or she used to take the education or not. So this is the duty of the government, of the union government and the state government, by which they can start the certain initiative. Just like I give you the example of the midday meal school, where they encourage the parents and the students that they can come to the school, they can take the education and they can get the proper nutritional food. So by which all the poor people, or you can say the people who want to educate their child, they can use to send their child. And the parents who do not want to send their girl child to the school, they can also send their child to the school to take the education. Then we further talked about the different countries, the human development report, in which they studies the different data, and we can say the Sri Lanka is on the rank of the 73, and India used to come on the 131 in the human development report, where their life expectancy, their SDI index number, all are different. Like if you talk about the Sri Lanka, they are having the life expectancy till up to where the ages of 30, 75. If we talk about the India, it's having 68.3. So it depends on what kind of the surrounding we have. Here is the which country we have discussed. We discussed about the Sri Lanka, India, Nepal, Bangladesh, and the Myanmar. So these are the countries which we have discussed so far, like what kind of life expectancy they have, what is the literacy rate, what is the per capita income, what is the SDI rate. So all these things which we have discussed in the previous three segments. In this segment, we are talking about the first, the sustainability of the development, means how it is sustained and it is going to help with the future generation as well. Then we talk about the groundwater level in India. If we talk about the groundwater level in India, it's going to be depleting day by day. The states are the Tamil Nadu, the first state you can say the Tamil Nadu, or you can say the Bangalore. So like there are the number of the big cities or the mega cities where now they are on the verge of that the groundwater is depleting day by day. And if we talk about the now the last topic of this chapter, that is the exhaustion of the natural resources, because the population increases and the people wants are increases. So to fulfill their needs, they are using the natural resources at a very you can say a very brutal level, that one day is going to come, this natural resource is going to be exhausted from this planet, and we are not going that particular natural resources. So we have to use that particular resources, just like that. If we recall, which in the previous classes, like what you have read about what the sustainable development means, we have to use for the present generation, and we have to keep it for the future generation as well. This is called the sustainable development. Sustainable development means we have to use the resources which is not going to be exhausted from this planet, because each and everything have their own perception. We have to save it for our purpose as well as for the future generation. So these are the things which we are going to discuss right now in the brief. Now we are going to discuss in details. So the page number 14, it starts from the sustainable development or sustainability of development. Suppose for the present that a particular country is quite developed, we would certainly like this level of development go further, or at least at the maintain of future generation. This which I already give you in the reference, that we have to preserve the certain resources which will going to help our the present generation, as well as we can keep it safe for the future generation as well. This is the, you can say, the meaning in these simple words. Suppose for the present that a particular country is quite developed, means if you talk about a particular is quite developed, we can take the example of India. It's like in the developing sector quite developed. We can't say the fully developed, quite developed. We would certainly like the level of development to go the further, or at least to be maintained for the future generation. This is obviously desirable. However, since the second half of the 12th century, a number of scientists have been warning that the present type and levels of the development are not sustained. We have not inherent for the world from our forefathers. We have borrowed it from our children. Yes, we have we learned from the forefathers. We have to keep it for the children. Now we talk about they have given the first example, groundwater level in India. Let us understand why this is so true from the examples. Yes, you can learn from the examples. You can see first this diagram over here, how this lady, she used to take the water from the well. Recent evidence suggests that the groundwater is under the serious threat. Yes, it is true. It is under serious threat, which I give you the example of Tamil Nadu and the Bangalore, where the water is, the groundwater level is on the verge of is going to be exhausted, or it's going to be empty in a very few. months, I'm not saying the year, in a very few months, of the overuse in many parts of the country. Because of if we are using overusing the water, so one day it will come, the groundwater level is going to be empty. About 300 districts have reported the water level decline of over 4 meter during the past 20 years. Think about it, from the past 20 years, 4 meter down of the water level. Nearby one-third of the country is overusing their groundwater resources. In the another 25 years, 60% of a country would be doing the same if the present way of using the resource continue. If you are using the groundwater level rapidly, or we can say the if we are using more and more, if we are more using of this water, so after the 25 years, 60 percentage of the water is going to be exhausted. So, if the present way of using the resource continues, groundwater overuse is particularly found in the agriculture prosperous region of Punjab and the western UP, hard rock plateau areas of the central and the south India, some coastal areas, the rapidly groundwater, the urban settlements. Because here I will give you the number of the example. If you recall, which I have discussed about in the previous classes, like if we talk about the Mumbai, and if we talk about the big cities, what they do that in the city, majorly we don't find the water. So what they used to do that they used to make per certain pipelines from the village, or if you can say from the rural areas. All the water used to come to the urban areas. So the people who are living in the villages, or you can say the rural areas, they don't find the water, so they are having the scarcity of water. So like after if we talk about the Maharashtra, the number of the villages were there, they do not have the water. So they like what they did that they used to start planting number of the trees, they start making the dams, they start developing more their you can say the land where they can store the rainwater. They used to start making the check dams and the canals for which, and they used to start the one more thing, that is the utmost important thing, that is the rainwater harvesting, in which they used to collect the rainwater, by which whenever the rain used to come, they used to collect the water, and the whole year they used to use that water in the household purpose, in the agriculture, for the animals, for the children. So all this stuff we can say that earlier they used to face the problem where the you can say the rich people or the rich company, they used to take the water from the rural areas and they used to send it to the urban areas. If we talk about the Mumbai, like the nearby the villages, they are having their water, but all the water used to take it by the uh, in that pipeline, they used to send it to the Mumbai. So the whatever the villages, the villages where there is nearby the Mumbai, they used to face the difficulty, or you can say the scarcity of the water. So what they start, they would planting number of the trees. If we talk about the next example, if we talk about the like any of the big city, so this is the same condition like Mumbai. What they do that they used to take the water from the rural areas, and the problem is faced by the rural people where did it the government, what they do that government is not doing anything. In my perception, if we talk about, they used to what they used to do that they used to send one tank of the water where which all the people used come together, and from that tank they used to take the water, in which number of the people used to going to die because the lady is not going to climb that tank. So the child used to going to climb when the child used to climb that tank, when he used to take the water, and in that condition, because of the crowd, some of the child is going to fell down and they used to die. So these are the scenario of the India, where I think we have to take the initiative, or it start by the government, it start by the state government as well as the private companies, or you can say the NGOs or the community or the society. They come together and they start making what they used to start the rainwater harvesting. Then after that they used to start making the dams to collect the water, because like India there is a seasonal rainfall. We don't find the rain every year. Like somewhere we find the rainy season is very much good. If we talk about the next year, the rain, we don't find the rain that very much good. So what we have to do is, whenever there is the rainy season, we have to collect that water for the future purpose, that uh, in our planet the water is not going to be exhausted, or it's not going to be empty from this planet, and we have to preserve our water. And I'm using the word the piggyback in the sense we have to collect the water in the groundwater, just like we used to put the money in the piggy bank. So we have to make a piggy bank in the like that way. It used to come at the upper level. The water level is not going to be depleted. The groundwater level is not going to be depleted. Where we find water in this piggy bank. So this is the condition of the groundwater level in India. Now we talk about the next example, that is exhaustion of natural resources, which I give you the example that over the population is there, overpopulation there, and the people's having their demands. They want to fulfill their demands, so they are using overusing of the natural resources. So one day it will come that all the natural resources going to be exhausted from this planet. Groundwater is an example of the renewable resource, the resource that are replenished by the nature, as in the case of the crops, plants. However, in the this resource may be overused. For example, in the case of groundwater, if we use more than what is being replenished by the rain, then we would be overusing the resources. Non-renewable resources are those which can get exhausted after year by use. Yes, the non-renewable resources are that resource which we are going to use it and we can't renew it. That used to come under the non-renewable resources. We have a fixed stock on the earth. Yes, that is true that we are having the fixed stock on this planet which cannot be replenished, which we can't take it back. We do discover new resources that we did not know for the earlier. Now, have new resources the way add to this stock. However, over time, if this will get the exhausted. Now, the next example, the exhaustion of the resources. For example, crude oil that we extracted from the earth is the non-renewable resource. Yes, it is true that from, if you recall the previous classes from 6 to till 9, many times you have read that if you are overusing of the petrol, so one day it's going to be gone, the petrol is going to be exhausted from this planet. We are using any of the, you can say, the automobiles and the machines in the in the different machines we are using the petrol. So like if we use the overuse of the petrol, the one day is going to come we not get the petrol. Maybe we talk about the LPG gas, or you can talk about the cooking gas. If we talk about the petrol, if we talk about the diesel, if we talk about any other oil, so one day it will going to become that we can't get the petrol because nowadays we are overusing the petrol. However, many find a source of the oil that we did not know of the earlier. The exploration are being undertaken all the time. Exhaustion of the natural resource. Now you have to first see this table, what the data they have given. The Middle East reserve 2016 1,000 million barrels, that is 806. Number of the years will rise, that is 69.9. United States of America, that is 48,000 million barrels the reserve is, and the number of the years, that is the 10.6. If we talk about the world, that is 1691.5, and the reserve till last, that is 50.6. This data was taken by the BP Statistical Review of the World Energy, June 2017. The table give an estimation of reserve of the crude oil. The crude oil which is taken out from the middle east of the country, or you can say from the ocean. More important, also tell us for how many years the stock of the crude oil will last if people continue to extract it for the present rate. Like if you used to extract the crude oil from the present rate, the reserve would be only 50 years more. Means if we are using overusing the petrol, so only the last 50 years is left that the petrol is going to be exhausted from this planet if we are overusing it. This is for the world as a whole. However, the different countries face the different situation. That is also true. Countries like India depend importing the oil. Yes, we are totally depend on the importing the oil for the abroad because they do not have the enough stock of their own. They do not have the enough stock. Like most of the countries, they have like totally depend on the Middle East, or you can say the Gulf countries where they used to get the petrol. Like if they do not get their petrol, the countries I think nowadays is not going to work because most of the machines which we are depend on the petrol. So for not overusing the power, what we can do is we can use the solar energy, we can use the electricity by which we can run our automobiles or the machine by which we can stop overusing the petrol, and we can preserve this natural resources for the present generation as well as for the future generation. Countries like India depend on importing the oil from abroad because they do not have the enough stock of their own. If the price of the oil increase, this become a burden of everyone. Yes, if the price of the particular oil is going to be increased, this is a burden for the other people. If we talk especially in India, there are the countries like US which have the low reserve and hence want to secure all the through the military and the economic power. Yes, most of the thing, if we talk about the petrol, most of the countries are depend on it, like on this petrol as well. Like if we talk about the defense sector, if we talk about the economic sector, if we talk about the technology sector, in which most of the oil which we are using. So on that we can, what we can do, that we can preserve this resource, that which will not going to be exert on this planet. What we can use is the solar energy, the electricity and the nuclear energy, which is the most important part. And nowadays with that, from the nuclear energy we can generate the electricity and the number of things we can do that. So these are the things which we can therefore use for the sustainability. Then consequences of the environmental degradation do not respect the national or the state boundaries. This issue no longer region or nation specific. Our future is linked together. Sustainability of the development is the comparative new area of the knowledge in which scientists, economics, philosophers, and other social scientists are working together. All the people are working together, not the individuals, or you can say doing for the work for the particular sector. Each and every, you can say, whether you talk about the philosopher, whether you talk about the economists, whether you talk about the scientists, if you talk about the social scientists, all the people are work together for developing their nation and to preserve the natural resources. They do not want to exhaust the natural resources from this planet. If going to if they are going to exit from this planet, we are not able to replace it, or in the simple words we can say we can't take it back from this planet if it's going to be exhausted from this planet. So we have to preserve our water and the natural resources at to the that much of the level it can fulfill all the demands of the present generation, and we can preserve it for the future generation as well. So this is used to come under the sustainability of the development. And the general of the question, development of the progress is the perennial, all at all the times, as a member of the society, and the individual need to ask where we want to go, what we wish to become, and what are goals. So the debate of the development continues, because the each and every individual having their own idea or the own views, they want to express the development in their own way, what kind of development should be. So like in my point of view, whatever the points we have covered in this fourth segment, that what is the economics, what is the development, why do we need the development, what are the goals of the particular people, that what kind of development, what would they want for the society, would they want for the nation, or they want for their own self. If we talk about the national development, in the national development we talk about the whole nation, that in which we can first think about the education, we talk about the per capita income, and we talk about the health sector. And if we go further, then on the basis of the state and the nation, can we differentiate the development? Yes, we can differentiate the development on the basis of the per capita income, that the US is having the high per capita income and the India is having the middle income, where we can say that the US is the developed country and India is the developing country. Then we go further and we come to know about the infant mortality rate, the literacy rate, net attendance rate, and the literacy, in which we come to know about from this three states, Haryana, Kerala, and the Bihar, where someone is having the high infant mortality rate, someone is having the low, someone is having the highest literacy rate, someone is having the low. Then we talk about the further the net attendance rate, someone is having the high, someone is having the low. Then we go further, we talk about the difference of the state, difference of the country of the human development reports, where we come to know about the neighborhood countries of our India. That is, first we start with the Sri Lanka, then the India, then the Myanmar, then the Nepal, then the Pakistan, then the Bangladesh. On which we come to know that the Sri Lanka is very small country, but the human development rank is 73. And if we talk about the India, that is 131, where the life expectancy rate is 68.5. If we talk about the Sri Lanka, they are having a 75. So it depends upon the surrounding, that what kind of environment they have. It's, you can say the pollution free the environment they have. The health sector is very much good. They used to spend most of the money in the education, by which the people are healthy, the mind is healthy, they can going to help towards the nation. So these are the certain things which we have explained in that. Then we go further and we discuss about the sustainability of the development, which which means we have to preserve the natural resource for the present purpose, and as well as we have to preserve the natural resource for the future generations, that which we are going to help us, that if the one day it will come that if the water is going to exhaust on this planet, and the petrol which is going to be exhausted on this planet, so we have to preserve that we can fulfill all the demands of the present generation, as well as for the particular natural resource which can be used for the future generation as well. So the number of the scientists, number of the economics, number of the philosopher, number of the social scientists, they used to work together to help the nature, to help the whole globe, and to help to preserve this natural resources, because if they is going to be exhausted, we can't help it. If we talk about the groundwater level, what we can do, that we can what we start the rainwater harvesting, we can develop the check dams, we can develop the dams, and the we can store the water in the wells, and we can dug up the more and more land, or you can say the river area, when we used to collect the rainwater. If we talk about this one, that exhausted natural resource, what we can do is we can if we talk about only the petrol, what we can petrol, so instead of using the petrol, what we can do is we start using the solar energy, we start using the nuclear energy, and we start using the electricity, by which we can preserve our natural resource, and it will not going to be replaced, or in the simple one we can say it can't going to be exhausted. So replacing means we can't get it back, the particular natural resource. So these are the things which we have discussed in this fourth segment. This is the last segment which we have finished this chapter. I hope you like this video. Thank you.